Everybody. I'm Andy, and welcome to this week's Team Kentucky Update. Before we get started with today's update, I want to acknowledge the tragic plane crash above the Potomac River outside of Washington, D.C., that occurred last night. It's been reported that there are no survivors, and that means 67 people, 67 children of God have lost their lives, and their families and their friends are mourning them today. Brittany and I are praying for the families of the loved and their loved ones, to all of those that have been affected. Our hearts are with the brave first responders on the scene and that were on the scene last night. I know this is a difficult time for the people of Kansas. The plane came out of Wichita. For those in our military, for the U.S. figure skating and other communities that are affected by this tragedy. I'm also thinking about Kansas Governor Laura Kelly, a friend of mine, who is heartbroken and in constant communication with officials who are helping. I want to remind everybody, hug the people that you love. Life is short, and these tragic incidents happen, and sadly, they take really important people away from us. I've lost people in very tragic and very difficult circumstances, and so I'm thinking about everybody today that's hurting. And I want them to know that we should stand unified with them, that we should make sure that we are putting them first on a day like today. I think I end just about all these with the same phrase each time, and that's remember, life's short. Our job is to do good things and to be kind to each other. And today, maybe we need to find a little more love, a little more humanity, and show that to each other all day long, all week long, and all month long, to make sure that people realize that there is still so much good out there and that we still care for one another. All right, the way we normally start is with our economic development update. Already in 2025, we are seeing new investment and jobs as more companies choose Kentucky for their new Kentucky home, where speed to market is fast, but business costs are low and the workforce is unmatched. Since I took office, we've announced more than 1,100 private sector new location and expansion projects, totaling over $35 billion in announced investments and creating roughly 59,800 new jobs. And that momentum is leading to exciting updates across the Commonwealth. The first Kentucky Economic Development Finance Authority meeting of the year was held this morning. 7 projects were approved for state incentives. These projects will invest $88 million in our economy and create 116 full-time jobs for Kentuckians. So a pretty good start for January of 2025. These approvals were Murakami Manufacturing USA in Taylor County, Letica Corporation in Fulton County, Fabricated Metals with 2 projects in Jefferson County, Everchar in Rowan County, Sungdu Engineering USA in Allen County, and AAA Cooper Transportation in Warren County. I'll start by highlighting an exciting project in Taylor County that was announced this morning. Murakami Manufacturing USA, a supplier of side view exterior mirrors and automotive components, announced plans to expand its Campbellsville operation with a $3.4 million investment. Murakami is celebrating its 25th year of operation in the Commonwealth this year and has grown to now ship over 2.5 million mirrors every year. They're used on Toyota, Honda, and Subaru vehicles, among others. This historic economic momentum that we are seeing would not be possible without Kentucky companies like Murakami continuing to believe and invest in our communities, our skilled workforce, and the Commonwealth. I want to thank the leadership of this company for believing in us. I want to thank all of our Taylor County officials who worked so hard to make this happen. Another company that I want to highlight for its recent investment in the Commonwealth is Letica Corporation, which recently announced the expansion of its manufacturing facility in Fulton County with a $27.8 million investment, creating 15 new high-quality jobs. Letica is a subsidiary of Berry Global, an industry leader in innovative packaging solutions with over 240 locations worldwide. The Fulton facility manufactures plastic containers for customers in the food, commercial, and industrial manufacturing industries. Time and time again, we see global leaders in their respective industries choose to invest in the Commonwealth and our communities, providing quality job opportunities for Kentuckians and families in every corner of our state. I want to thank the leadership of this company for their investment in Fulton County and congratulate them on this new next step. Also, just yesterday, UniFirst Corporation, a North American leader in providing customized business uniforms, facility training, and first aid projects, announced its expanding facility in Owensboro with a nearly $28 million investment. UniFirst manufactures its own branded workwear, safety clothing, and floor care products at its 3 company-owned manufacturing facilities. With more than 270 service locations and over 300,000 customer locations and 16,000 plus employee team partners, the company outfits more than 2 million workers every day. The Commonwealth's manufacturing industry continues to grow at a monumental rate, leading the way for our thriving economy and providing opportunities for families across Kentucky. UniFirst's choice to expand Owensboro is a testament to our state's talented workforce and our notable resources. I want to thank Kentucky's leadership for their commitment to our great state and for expanding in Owensboro. Last week, I also traveled to Davos, to the World Economic Forum, after receiving a specific invitation for Kentucky to participate. It's, to my knowledge, the first time Kentucky had ever been invited to this world stage to talk to world leaders and CEOs of the largest corporations across planet Earth. And despite being new to the event, we had one of the busiest schedules. People knew who we were. And even better, they wanted to meet with us because they know in Kentucky we're seeing record-breaking success. In 2.5 days, we had 25 meetings with CEOs whose companies span 3 continents. 10 were with existing Kentucky companies that employ 8,750 Kentuckians. The rest were with companies that have announced U.S. expansions but have not yet chosen the locations. I also spoke on 5 panels focusing on leadership in areas like manufacturing, electric vehicles, battery production, and more. During these panels, Kentucky, we took center stage with companies like Volvo, Schneider Electric, and many other global leaders. The event provided us so much opportunity. The chance to reintroduce ourselves and our new Kentucky home on the world stage. It allowed us to meet with so many employers that would have taken us months, if not years, to otherwise see. And every single one that had Kentucky operations reported that last year was one of the best years ever for the company. That made me proud of the good work we're doing in Kentucky. It also allowed us to accomplish that reintroduction of ourselves, about the things that are going on in Kentucky and in many places. Introduce Kentucky when maybe they hadn't thought of us before. Over 125 countries were represented, and we met with as many as we could to encourage more economic investment and job creation in our state. Kentucky currently has 540 foreign-owned facilities that employ 116,000 Kentuckians. We, I think, are 4th in terms of foreign direct investment as part of our economy. So being on the global stage, that's important to our present and to our future. But for me, I was proud of us. I was proud of Kentucky. I was proud of the great things that we could talk about and just to hear such great feedback about what's going on. The fact that Kentucky's climbing all of these rankings we always wanted to be on, and that we were the state that they wanted at the World Economic Forum is a pretty special thing and a testament to all the good work that so many people around the Commonwealth are doing. Next, we have some news regarding Team Kentucky's mission to improve safety on our roadways and save lives. Something after the plane crash last night is probably a little closer to all of us this morning. Each person lost on our roadways is a tragedy. Each a child of God taken too soon. That's why we've been putting in the work to make our roads safer. Last year, we awarded more than $1 billion to our communities for more than 500 road and bridge improvement projects. And since the beginning of my administration, we've awarded funding to improve roads and bridges in every single county in Kentucky. Every single one of our communities deserves safety. We're installing innovative intersections, which are proven to reduce crashes. We're piloting wrong-way crash technology to deter and detect drivers going the wrong way on interstate ramps. We're administering grant funding for law enforcement campaigns like Click It or Ticket. And just this month, we announced the Safe Teen Driving Challenge to encourage more young drivers to travel safely. The hard work is paying off. We just received the preliminary numbers for 2024 highway fatalities and injuries. And while there's still too many, it's good news. We lost fewer people in 2024 on our highways than we did in 2023. So the positive news is that deaths in highway crashes dropped 14% last year as compared to 2023. Right now, the Transportation Cabinet believes we are at a 10-year low. And even more positive news, we had 200 fewer injuries. So last year, thanks to good driving by all Kentuckians, 14% less deaths on our highways and our roadways and 200 fewer injuries. That's good news. And on a day like today, we could use some good news. But we want to keep this trend up. And that's why I'm asking all Kentuckians to do their part, because your simple choices can save lives, like buckling up, putting the phone down, driving sober, and following the speed limit. We've gotten a lot done, but we have a lot more to do. I mean, our new Kentucky home is so exciting. Seeing us realize more and more of our potential, having this record-setting momentum, but we want everybody to be a part. And highway safety protects you for being a part. It also protects other people because, unfortunately, a lot of these collisions involve multiple cars. We want everybody to get to school, to work, to church, wherever else you're going safely. So together, let's make sure 2025 is a safer year than 2024. But to everybody out there, good work on 2024. More people went home to their families each and every day because you were driving safely. All right, as governor, my job is to move our state forward. And since I've took office, I've been committed to providing access to life-changing health care for all Kentuckians. Part of that commitment was ensuring our people have access to safe medical cannabis products. We've taken some incredible strides to make medical cannabis a reality in Kentucky. Over just 18 months, we've filed all the regulations needed to implement a very complicated and regulated program. We've established an IT system for business licensing, practitioner registration, and patient application. We've worked with the General Assembly to move up the timeline so that individuals can get their medical cannabis as soon as possible. We've conducted a statewide outreach tour with local government officials, and all 106 jurisdictions that voted on medical cannabis passed it. The administration received and processed over 4,998 applications. We've now licensed 81 cultivators, processors, testing labs, and dispensaries. We've registered over 333 new medical cannabis doctors and nurses across 75 counties, and those numbers are growing daily. We've even launched a directory so patients can find the doctor or the nurse nearest to them. We've allowed medical cannabis practitioners to start writing certification for patients. That started December 1st, 2024 as an update. Since December 1st, 2024, 6,500 Kentuckians have seen a practitioner and received a certification. So beginning January 1st of this year, we began processing those applications that have the certification on them so that we can issue medical cannabis cards. We've already received nearly 4,000 applications. We established a monthly webinar series for patients to learn how they can participate, and we launched a hotline to talk people through it. And just weeks ago, the Office of Medical Cannabis held a new orientation to help cannabis businesses get up and operational as soon as possible. These steps show our commitment to doing it safely, but also to make sure that people suffering from these conditions get the relief and the help that they need. That's why I'm pleased today to announce we've hit another major milestone for our program. Today, we're going to issue the first 2 medical cannabis cards to Dr. Ryan Grell and Marissa Kumalo. And I'm going to do it again. Today, we will issue Kentucky's first 2 medical cannabis cards to Dr. Ryan Grell and Marissa Kumalo. At this time, I want to invite up the Office of Medical Cannabis Executive Director Sam Flynn to talk about our first card holder.
Thank you, Governor. And I want to thank you for your vision and for your leadership in guiding this program, without which we certainly would not be here issuing these cards today. Our first card holder is also a doctor and a registered practitioner in our program, something very special to us. Dr. Ryan Grell is a triple board certified anesthesiologist. His passion for incorporating medical cannabis into patient care started during his residency. There, he saw firsthand the positive impact medical cannabis has on patients. Since then, he has been a firm advocate for medical cannabis and its benefits, and now he is a member of the Board of Physicians and Advisors, a board created by the General Assembly to make recommendations both to the Office of Medical Cannabis and to the General Assembly about the medical aspects of our program. Dr. Grell helps advise us in that capacity on how best to serve Kentucky's patients. Dr. Grell, would you come up, receive the first card from the governor, and talk a bit about your experience?
Sure. Congratulations. And afterwards, you can take it out of the frame.
Yes, sir.
Please.
All right, please. First, I want to thank you, Governor, for the opportunity to be here today. I've been a practicing physician for over a decade now, and I've personally seen the difference that medical cannabis can make in a patient's life. From managing pain to helping with mental health, medical cannabis can make patients' lives immeasurably better. There's a mountain of scientific evidence showing cannabis is a safe and effective medicine. Patients should not be forced to use more dangerous medications that are addictive, like opioids, to treat their illnesses. Programs like the one Governor Beshear has created make better treatments possible. The Kentucky Medical Cannabis Program ensures that patients have legal, safe, and reliable access to crucial medicine. This will be a lifesaver for patients across Kentucky. Thank you again, Governor.
Thank you. Please hang out here with us for a minute. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Grell. Next, we have Marissa Kumalo. Marissa is a teacher, former teacher who taught at Rise STEM Academy for Girls, one of Fayette County's great public schools, supporting girls in science, tech, engineering, and math. Marissa now currently has taken her talents to the private sector, where she's pursuing a career in digital marketing. And Marissa, would you come up and receive your card and talk a little bit about your experience?
Congratulations. Here we go. All right.
Thank you, Governor Beshear in the Office of Medical Cannabis. I'm really excited about this program because it will empower individuals and expand healthcare access in Kentucky. Medical cannabis puts the patients in charge of their healthcare decisions, letting them work with providers to find the right strains, doses, and administration methods that are right for them. Through medical cannabis, Kentuckians get an alternative to opioids and have more control over their treatment options. These Kentuckians may suffer from chronic pain, cancer, multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, and other illnesses, and will greatly benefit from this program being able to make their own decisions for their treatment plans. The Beshear administration has built a program that will bring healthcare to Kentucky and across the Commonwealth and let them make medical decisions best for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Two of y'all in the middle, and we'll get on the corner.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations to you both, to Ryan and Marissa. Thank you for being a part of this program and for putting a face on individuals out there that are receiving these cards. I'm pleased to announce that we have now approved, after these 2,200 medical cannabis cards as of today, and we'll continue to approve cards on a rolling basis moving forward. At this time, we're very pleased that only 66 applications have been denied, 51 of which are due to technical issues, and they can reapply. 15 applications have been denied due to a disqualifying felony offense. If you or someone you know is interested in learning more, please visit kymedcan.ky.gov. Remember, to apply, you've got to obtain an electronic written certification from the authorized practitioner and submit an application. You can find that authorized practitioner on the website through an easy search right on the first page. If folks have more detailed questions, we launched a hotline. That's 833-727-2828. As we enter this new era, I want to ensure that every Kentuckian is treated fairly, regardless of what lawful medication they choose for their condition, which is why yesterday I sent a letter to our congressional delegation urging them to take decisive action to protect the constitutional rights of our law-abiding medical cannabis patients. Currently, law-abiding citizens who elect to participate in state legalized medical cannabis programs like Kentucky's have their Second Amendment rights to purchase or possess a firearm impacted. No law-abiding Kentuckian or American, for that matter, should have to choose between a constitutional right like the Second Amendment and getting the medication that they need. That's why I'm urging the congressional delegation to introduce legislation to address this issue and to protect the constitutional rights of Kentuckians and of all Americans. There should not be a loss of a right within our Bill of Rights simply for choosing a legalized system of medication that is best for you. As this program grows, I'll continue to put our people first. I hope you can see from this is not about moving left or right. It's about moving forward, making sure our people get what they need, make sure they're treated fairly and never penalized for taking part in a program like this that can help. To put another face on it, think about some of the veterans that we've had up at this podium that have talked about what medical cannabis has done for them. I mean, denying these rights to people who have carried arms in our defense outside of this country is something we should not be doing to them or anybody else. When I ran for governor, it was my goal to provide healthcare access to Kentuckians, especially access that ensures the vulnerable the freedom to choose medical cannabis as an alternative to dangerous and addictive opioids. Finally, our Team Kentucky All-Stars, we want to recognize the first responders responding to the tragic plane crash in D.C. Oftentimes, we give these thanks when there are survivors, and there aren't any here. But that doesn't change the bravery of people who run to a crash scene, here immerse themselves in cold and dangerous water, and do everything they can for those hours, just praying they'll hear somebody's voice that they could pull out of that water. Pray for the families that are impacted. Pray for these individuals too. I mean, from all of our natural disasters, those that recover bodies also carry scars from the event for the days, weeks, and years that follow it. These are people, yeah, they're trained, but they're also human, and they deserve and they need our support. I think what our country needs right now is everybody out there watching to be good human beings, to try to love each other, to try to show the very best of humanity, and to make sure we never politicize things like this. We make sure that we are there for the individuals that have been hurt, and that we are there for those that responded. So to our first responders, thanks for everything you do. And to everybody out there that will just try a little bit harder to be good and kind to each other over the days, the weeks, and the months ahead, thank you for your work as well. Okay, we will open it up to press. We have one journalist in studio and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at least on the line. So we'll start with Carolina.
Governor, is the demand for medical marijuana products about what you guys anticipated? And then also, can you give us a bit of an update on how things are going with getting product?
Yeah. So I think it's a little too early to judge demand based on what we're seeing, because I think the office has done a really good job in making it really easy. You know, when you have online how to get your certification, where to go, who the doctors are, and then you're able to apply for the card easily. We may see more earlier than we thought. We need enough time to view it. But I would say that we are seeing significant demand. We are seeing people be able to easily navigate the process, which is important. We are pleased with the numbers, one of the earliest numbers of the practitioners that have signed up, the doctors and the nurses, and there's still some things we got to work out about what it takes through certain boards to become one of those authorized practitioners. But even with a couple of speed bumps, that's going really well. And I think we're going to reach our goal earlier than anticipated. We are working the Office of Medical Cannabis is working directly with the cultivators, the processors, the labs, and the dispensaries. A whole lot of, if you remember, especially the dispensaries that had to choose new counties and new locations are doing so. I know of at least one of the cultivators that the ground is just about ready. The weather's a bit of a problem. And of course, they're going to be able to bring in plants to start that. And so I think we are seeing, now that the licensing is done, a whole lot of movement in that direction. And my hope is in the coming month or two, we're going to have a much better idea of when we will see that product first on the shelves. But until then, that executive order will remain in place that protects people who need to go to other states to get what is now legal here. Okay, with that, oh, yeah, go. Sorry, not on my list, but go ahead. You're here.
I spoke with a dispensary owner yesterday, and his guesstimate on when he thinks he's going to be able to sell was this August. Is that kind of a guesstimate that folks are looking at? Is it just too early to tell when?
I think it's too early to tell on the dispensary side. I think what we're looking at is the cultivators are able to get a head start once they're ready to go by bringing in those plants. The processors, these are the processing facilities are facilities that have a lot of moving pieces. It's actually pretty sophisticated in what they do. So they've got to get the equipment in, the boilers in, the other things that they need to get up and running. And then of course the dispensaries, I think, are going to be ready to have product on the shelf the moment they've been inspected, and then that product is there. So when we have a better idea, we'll get you that information. My hope is it's certainly before that guesstimate. And I think it will be. Okay, on the line, we've got first Sylvia Goodman from Kentucky Public Radio.
Hello, Governor. I have a couple questions for you here on immigration enforcement in the state, so bear with me here. First question, do you intend to deploy state police KSP, or if requested, the Kentucky National Guard to aid in federal immigration enforcement activity within the state, if requested? And then secondly, Trump's DHS has invoked a statute that would permit local and state officers to become deputized as immigration enforcement officers. Would you consider entering such agreements for state officers, or would you encourage local officers to do that?
I think by now the people of Kentucky see that I take a middle of the road, common sense, pragmatic approach to everything, which means I don't answer a lot of hypotheticals when we don't have any of the details about what would be asked. We haven't received any specific request from ICE, from immigration authorities for any level of assistance thus far. Now, if you look in the past, even during the Biden administration, there are certain requests to law enforcement for things around, but not directly related to the immigration enforcement, safety around an area that it might be carried out. And so in any request, we're going to look at it. Certainly, there are instances where if we know of somebody who has broken the law, that has committed a violent offense, then that's somebody that we would normally work, whether it's with immigration or just regular law enforcement, to apprehend and make our community safer. But we'll see as the requests come in. We'll also have to evaluate whether the group the request is made to has the training. I've said this before, but most of the National Guard are your neighbors. They have jobs that aren't necessarily in law enforcement, that don't have certain types of training that would be like those that immigration officers would use, say, in carrying out a raid. And using some of those individuals would not be safe and on operation that they don't have the training for. So those are the types of things that we would do to think through any of those requests. But I'm not into hypotheticals. I would want to evaluate anything and everything that comes to us, and then try to do the right thing for the people of Kentucky, for the safety of those involved. And at the end of the day, my approach is that border security is national security. We must enforce our immigration laws, but also understanding that many of these people are fleeing violence and oppression. And we ought to be recognizing that while we are enforcing our immigration laws, they are people. They are children of God. Okay, Tom Latek, Kentucky Today.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon to you. I've got a two-parter as well. The first one has to deal with folks who registered their renewals for their vehicles online in December have not gotten their registrations or the stickers yet. And also the reminder postcards haven't been sent out for people who were supposed to renew them in January. That's the first one. And then the second one is the Department of Revenue is having that 2-week pause while new software is installed. But the Secretary of State's office also can't process some of their business filing requests. So my question is, why would this happen in the middle of tax filing season?
Let me check on the Secretary of State issue. I know that the Department of Revenue believed that this period, looking at it in terms of when filings were done, was a period that still gave people plenty of time before and after to file. And there are other ways that people can file as well, at least send it in. My understanding on the vehicle registrations, if the information I saw yesterday is responsive to your question, is originally they thought that was going out on the 17th. I think it went out on the 28th. There is I believe a 2-week allowable period under the contract. So normally it had come out on the 17th, but this year went out on the 28th, still within that allowable period for it. We'll get you more detailed information, but that's my understanding on the vehicle registration piece. McKenna Horsley with the Kentucky Lantern.
Thank you, Governor. This is kind of a two-part question, but having governed through major disasters, what do you think of President Trump's idea of shifting FEMA's recovery management duties to the states? And do you think that FEMA needs any changes? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, since I've become governor, we've had 12 federal disaster declarations. We have been through the worst. We've had the worst tornadoes, the worst flooding. We've had a pandemic. And on top of that, we've had other regional flooding, outbreaks of storms that have caused significant damage and loss of life across Kentucky. Let me tell you, in every state right now, if done correctly, the governor already takes the lead in the response. But FEMA is an important partner. What FEMA does is ensure that one group that's out there can do all the training and have the personnel to process applications for help from multiple states and from tens of thousands of individuals. If FEMA was dissolved, every state would have to do that on its own because that work is required under statute. And what that would do is that would make the overhead so expensive, having to do this 50 plus times compared to what it currently is, that it would eat up most of that money. And remember, FEMA isn't just the individual and the public assistance, which should come faster, and yes, changes should be made. It also helps us in the emergency phase. When you look back at the flooding in the first 72 hours, we made 1,400 saves. That's 1,400 Kentuckians that are alive today, and it wasn't just us. FEMA helped us by surging in additional personnel. They helped us bring in the Tennessee National Guard. The West Virginia National Guard also sent helicopters. In the search and rescue, they can bring in different resources from other states to help us in times of need. If we don't have a certain type of generator, they can help us source it from a different place. These are really important partners, and they're filled with really good people who are on the ground. Now, are changes needed? Yes. And a lot of changes are being made. A whole lot of changes are being made because in Kentucky, we weren't going to take it. We were going to make sure that our voices were heard. And because of that, things have been a little bit better for the natural disasters that have happened since then. But FEMA is an organization that needs to continue. We need them to do better, but it would be disastrous in and of itself for the FEMA organization to be dissolved. Gil McClanahan. Do we have Gil?
Now can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I wanted to ask you more about the ICE raids. If you been keeping tabs on them? Do you have any numbers as to how many have been rounded up in Kentucky, any in Eastern Kentucky, and generally, what do you think about the whole process?
Well, we have not been informed about any specific raid anywhere in the Commonwealth. We haven't received any requests to participate. We'll evaluate any of those that come in, and if we receive any numbers that are public knowledge or through public documents, we'll provide those as well. But certainly not to my office or any of the offices that I work with have we received any type of request or information. And finally, David Cantonese. Do we have you on? All right, you can send it in. One more? Yeah.
Sorry, it's a two-parter. Bear with me. In Idaho, some lawmakers are wanting the Supreme Court to overturn gay marriage and have it go back to the state. If that happens, Kentucky has a trigger law that could automatically make gay marriage illegal again in the state. What would you say to the families that are scared of losing their marriage rights and the benefits that come with it? And finally, do you have any legal power to prevent this from happening here in Kentucky? Because otherwise, people may need to leave the state in order to protect their marriage.
Well, marriage equality is recognized and protected under a U.S. Supreme Court decision. That is the federal law of the land, and that is the law of Kentucky. Until and unless the Supreme Court would undo that decision. This has been decided. These are our fellow families that are out there. We all ought to find ways to better understand and care for each other. We ought to find ways every day to lessen discrimination that's out there. We all are a little different, look a little different, maybe act a little different. We all love different people, and the more that we can just accept that and accept each other as people, the better we can be as a country and as a world. Let me just close by saying I believe diversity is an asset, and I always will. People from different backgrounds, coming from different cultures, and with different views make us all better. And when we try to suppress that diversity or lessen it or not recognize it or not lift it up, we lose out. We lose out as people. We lose out as a state, and we are don't live up to the society that we can and we should be. I believe all people are children of God. I believe that those that want to enter into a marriage ought to have that right and ought to be able to live that special life together. I know Brittany and my marriage has been one of the main blessings of my life. And I'd hope that anybody would have that opportunity, regardless of their sexuality, ought to have that opportunity to love and to marry the person they care about. Thanks for letting me talk about Brittany with the last question. We'll see you all, I think, next week.